Welcome. Hello, Nikodas.
Hello, Grebog.
What have you been up to?
How are you today?
I'm doing great. So what have you been up to in the last week?
Personally, or in-game?
Sure, either, both.
Well, as with most people on the globe right now, I was affected by COVID-19 and the various shutdowns. My job was shut down, but I've gotten back to work now, and so that's been fun, getting back into the swing of things, relearning the stuff I've forgotten. In-game, I've largely been working on the new event going on to earn the Angel suit. I'm about 2 days away from completing that. So yeah.
Nice.
What about you?
I'm a slacker when it comes to the angel suit. I don't know. I have a lot of things going on in my life. Like DMing 3 different D&D games. Preparing for 3 different D&D games. Let's see.
And you do so well at that.
Then raiding in World of Warcraft on Tuesdays and Fridays, and then we're doing achievement runs now on Sunday, so let's see, what day is not mentioned? I don't know. I got a lot going on.
Well, since we both mentioned the Angel suit, let's talk about this week in STO. So the current event is called Best Served Cold. It revolves around the Klingons, the reward of which is the Red Angel suit, which was introduced in Discovery Season 2. Like I said, I'm 2 days away from earning that suit, so I cannot go over the stats with you. During the broadcast next week, I should have more information on that. I think that's it for this week.
For those watching, I'm showing you can actually pull up in the rewards info, and it will show you pretty much everything. When you mouse over in this reward info tab, the icon for the angel suit, it will give you the breakdown on the stats. Now, how it compares wearing other body armor, that will be something, that'll have to take some playtime to figure it out.
Which is what I'm looking forward to. I mean, this is a high price item that they are giving away for free. The buyout price is 6,000 Zen, which roughly equates to 60 real life US dollars. That's more expensive than most ships in the game. So I'm kind of curious to see if the hype is worth it. Find out in a couple days.
Yeah, that was what I was intrigued by. The fact that it's more than a tier 6 ship. I mean,
2 of them actually.
Yeah, I was just like, huh. But I mean, we'll see.
So, moving right along, our primary target for the day is talking about ships. Ships are basically a second character you have in the game. You equip it just like you do your ground character or your main character. You can customize it, not quite to the same extent as you can your captain, but you can customize ships. There are many varieties of ships. And I think we're just going to jump right in here, right, Grebog?
Yeah, jump right on it. So the first tiers, like the tier 1 through 4, you will end up picking up while you're leveling. If you already have a tier 6 ship, though, you can use a tier 6 ship now from beginning all the way to the end. So it's not like you have to go through that process, but I think a first-time character, the first time through, you're going to have to use the tier 1 through 4 ships, which they give you for free as you level up.
Unless you buy one. I mean, the money always trumps the freebies, so let's just go through at this rank. So you mentioned the 1 through 4. Those have been in the game since the beginning. They are your level rewards. Your first ship is a frigate class based on the Miranda. And as you level, then you get into the different classes that you get to choose. Oh, I gotta break off here. Sorry for the distraction here, guys. This ship over here that I'm flying towards is a Universe class. This is one of the absolute largest ships in the game. It is also a lockbox ship, which we will cover here shortly. This class of ship was introduced in Star Trek Enterprise when Captain Archer is pulled to a future timeline. This was the Enterprise J. A lot of people don't like this design. I actually think it's really pretty. I just wanted to show it off before this player flies off here. Okay, so back on track. Tier 1 through 4 leveling ships. Tier 5, which was the first set of in-game ships, initially you had to pay for those. I think now you get one for free. Is that right, Grebog?
Once you hit level 40, I believe, you get one free. So.
But as for the rest of them, the option is still there to buy them. They are cheaper than the Tier 6 ships. And actually, what you see me flying in right now is a Tier 5 ship. Let me pull up the stats for that. This is the Fleet Patrol Escort Tier 5. You can see I've upgraded it. That's what the -U here is, T5 upgrade. This was a unique ship that does not have a Tier 6 counterpart as of yet. The unique comes from this weapon right here, the Tempest Tailgun. This is a dual cannon that is equipped on the rear of the ship and actually fires in reverse. It is the only ship in the game that has a rear firing cannon. I'm sorry, Grebog, I'm kind of stealing your thunder here.
It's fine. Go.
A T5U, you get that from an upgrade token that can be purchased in the Z store. It upgrades the stats on the ship to make it comparable with the T6. You also get an extra console slot, which in some cases can actually give a T5U a 1-up on a T6 ship. But a lot of the features of the T6 are not here. For example, under Starship Mastery, there is no 5th slot like there is on a Tier 6, which means there is no Starship trait that you can get for flying this. Now, the traits, you can still equip that you've unlocked from anything, so you can kind of use a trait gathered elsewhere on a T5U. If that's something that you wanted to do. I actually think the T5Us are still a lot of fun to fly. As you can see me here in game, this one's fairly maneuverable. I'm literally flying circles around Grebog. You want to talk about anything before we move on to the various classes of ships?
Let's see here. I was just looking in the Zen store here. Apparently, you can only reclaim now the Tier 1 through 4s. I don't know that you can buy them.
You still get rewarded them as you level.
Well,
so
you still get that, but I don't know that there are any outside of that anymore. I think they might have just smashed it all into the ship purchase there. They're not in the Zen store other than reclaim if you already have them unlocked. And that's one of the great things, like if you, let's say you buy one of the ships in the Zen store, you actually get it for all your characters, not just the one that you bought it on. So, anyway, as I'm jumping way ahead. But for T5U and T5, that's pretty much think you covered it. So I think Tier 6 is now... These are the current in-game ships, and I think the only way... Well, you can get them various ways, but they are the ones that have the highest highest builds, best builds, and all that. Typically, the T5Us are supposed to be close to them, but unfortunately, I've noticed that they still seem to be slightly lacking on certain aspects. If they have a tier 6 equivalent, it is going to have a slightly less on the hull, or stuff like that. But the T6, what it introduced was the mastery system. I think the T5Us have a shortened mastery. They don't give you the ship traits, but the T6 ships all have a ship trait associated with them, and that will help you get some extra power. And you'll also see people leveling up, like the mastery system, on other ships so they can get more ship traits. Depending upon your ship build will depend on how many slots and whatnot, but the tier 6 would have the most number of consoles and all that. Typically, I think that's the only difference between even tier 5 and tier 6 is they normally just added consoles. They didn't really add much else. They didn't change the weapon slots really between a tier 6 version and a tier 5 version. The tier
there's
6...
there's a few tier 6 ships that now have an extra weapon slot. Primarily, those are the battle cruisers or escorts. Some of them have a 5th forward weapon slot.
And actually, I guess here I could make my screen bigger. On my screen, you can see that this is actually one of the ships that has 5 forward weapon slots with 3 on the aft. So it's one of the few cruisers that are set up like this. But we'll go into that here more.
Actually, I see no reason we don't just jump right into that. So, Federation starship classes. There are 3 different types of Federation ships. You have your cruisers, which are your big defensive ships. Your escorts, which are the faster, more damage-oriented ships. And your science vessels, which are middle of the road as far as endurance goes. Their weapon slots are less, and they tend to deal more with debuffs and healing. Kind of your bards, I suppose, of the Star Trek universe. Then, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just going to say I was going to go into the cruisers, but you keep going.
Well, on our list here, you also have destroyers, carriers, frigates, and warships. But I think individually those may fall into the other categories. So if you want to jump into cruisers, you fly them more than I do.
Well, it was like the destroyers are they're based off of typically cruisers, but for some reason there are some that are broken out in their own class, and the carriers are kind of built off of the science vessels, but yet there are a few of the flight deck carriers that kind of are own. They're almost more a cruiser style than they are science. So, but yes, I fly cruisers. I play in engineering, for my main here, but you don't have to be an engineer to fly a cruiser. There's all kinds of builds and all kinds of setups for all these different classes. You can mix and match your officer type and the ship type. It really does not matter. But I prefer cruiser. Typically, a lot of people call these beam boats, and if you look at my build, I only have 1 for torpedo. All the rest are beam arrays. Even on my aft, it's all beam arrays, and then I have the kinetic cutting beam for basically, as I'm turning, my fore and aft weapons are hitting them, which is why they call it a beam boat. It's slow turning, and I just hit them broadside the entire time.
It's actually a good way to fight. The cruisers, despite being a tankier build, they can actually put out some pretty good damage numbers as well.
And Reddit's a great place to find some builds. There's actually, I think, one Reddit whole topic that is all about STO builds. That probably is actually the name of it. And so if you're looking for help for that, yeah, but there's just so much, like, well, here, I'll go to one of my other cruisers, because this one is designed to be more of a DPS setup. Where's my Guardian? Well, here, we talked about some of the dreadnoughts. I'll switch to a dreadnought cruiser. It is it's still a cruiser. It's still slow turn rate. The previous one was a light cruiser. This one is a dreadnought cruiser, actually fleet variant even. And something you'll notice, I have my weapons set up over here, but something you'll notice is different cruisers have commands, and they can, like, I can pump out command weapon system efficiency, which think of it as it's an aura around you that you boost everyone around you and their weapons. Some of them have a defensive setup. Some of them have this one has an attract fire. So if you want to be a tank and you want to take all the hits, hit the attract fire. You will get all the attention. But
hopefully you can take that. I know some pretty squishy cruisers out there.
My light cruiser that I was just in, very squishy. That's why I never fly it with the attract fire going or any kind of, like, I do not want threat. This is a battle cruiser, and this is much bigger than, or dreadnought cruiser. Nah, too many ship types. This is based off of the 3 warp nacelle of the Enterprise, what was it, E? Or it was basically the futuristic Enterprise from the TNG that they ended up putting in, and this is basically the STO has, as time goes, when they make new ships, they modify them and reskin them to make them more futuristic or more with current times. I don't remember which hull nacelle, and like, we can go into, you can change appearances all kinds of ways.
We'll hit that here in just a minute. I've lost my stream, Grebog.
Is the stream gone?
Give me just a second. Yeah, give me a second here.
Actually, I think I might go to our fleet starbase, because I think I can do one of the maneuvers there, maybe. So what I want to try to show you is some of the cruisers, especially the ones that are more designed like the TNG type cruisers. They have saucer separation. Oh, I can't do it here either. Shucks. Or maybe I don't see it. But something you will notice, something that's special on this dreadnought, because it is a dreadnought cruiser, it has a special ability. It does even have a hangar bay. I think a fair number of the dreadnought cruisers do have like a single hangar bay, and you'll have pets that will fly around.
Well, the dreadnoughts are supposed to be like the biggest, most impressive ships, so it only stands to reason that they'd have a little bit of everything, including a hangar bay.
I do have a special weapon. I don't think it doesn't take up any slots. It is just has the phaser lance, the phaser spinal lance, So here I'm mousing over. You can see the fire arc on it. So it's just a
You might
special
be
weapon.
able. You might be able to re-add me. I think I've got the stream going again.
Okay, re-add you. Friends. Find a team. No, I want to find a friend. I need a friend. I just went to the Fleet Starbase because I wanted to show the saucer separation, which is now flying around.
Okay, I'll head that way.
So as you can see, the saucer is flying around. It will do damage, though if you have a ship that can do saucer, I might be losing the stream. No, yep, no.
We're having all kinds of technical difficulties today.
Well, I've
Apologize
dropped
to our viewers.
some frames, but I was just looking at the thing and it showed a dip. And okay, I might have to reset your video up because now, let's see here. There we go. So here you can see like my saucers out there flying. The main thing to note when you're flying around with a saucer, like a ship that can separate, your saucer becomes very it's not very durable by itself. Your ship is not very durable by itself. Essentially, you become two light cruisers, though the saucer does not turn so fast. The main ship here, however, does. I mean, the turn rate on it goes way up once you lose most of the mass of the ship, essentially. But
that's true of any ship that has pets, as they're called in game. You may have a hangar bay. You may be able to split your ship into multiple parts. There's even an escort that actually splits into 3. And of course, every time you split, your health and shields go down. So if you're going to fly that type of ship, be very careful with it.
But they can be quite effective. So let's see.
Makes for a good surprise. It looks like the stream is holding, so let's move on here. Escorts are next on the list, and that's what I tend to fly. In game right now, I'm flying that T5U Patrol Escort refit. This is an extremely agile vessel, fast speeds, fast turns. You can even do a power slide with certain abilities activated. This is just a fun little fast ship. My primary, though, tends to be a strike wing escort. I'll switch to that real quick. Let's see. Fleet, there we go. A little quick warp out animation here. The strike wing escorts are escort type ships that also have a hangar bay. In this case, I am flying with the Delta Flyers. Let me move my screen here and I'll show you. So they spit out the rear end of the ship here, and then they'll fly along with me. We'll put them in some sort of a formation here. Now, those little ships are very squishy, but if they survive in combat, they will also level up, which helps them to, of course, survive even longer. Each one is equipped with a dual beam bank, and I've got some traits that anytime I boost those skills for my captain, it'll also boost it for the little ships. Here's my other 2. So it's like having extra weapon slots. So even though my ship has only 4 forward weapon slots and 3 aft, having all the little fighters with me is the equivalent of having an extra weapon slot. So this is what I tend to fly most of the time. It's a pretty sturdy ship as far as escorts go. Not quite as maneuverable as my T5U I was flying. As you can see, the turn radius isn't quite as tight, but still fairly maneuverable. It's a fun little ship. That pretty much covers the variants for the Federation escort ships. The third category is science vessels. Science vessels also tend to be small, unless you're talking about the carriers, but they tend to be more maneuverable. Science vessels only have 3 forward and 3 rear weapon slots. They tend to focus more on science abilities, though, which are your heals and your debuffs. I do not have a science vessel to show you. I apologize for that. I just don't fly them, so I've not really bought any of them either. Otherwise, I would hop over and show you one. I don't know if Grebog, do you have one?
I am switching to the one of the few fed ones that I have. I have not geared it up much of anything, so you'll get to see it as is.
Is that
Yeah.
is that the Dauntless?
I believe so. I think that's what it's called technically, experimental science vessel. For those that watched Voyager, it's the one that was the spoilers, the trap.
I actually like that ship. I think it's a pretty design.
I kind of like the design. I have not really set it up, but as you can see, it's got 3 fore, 3 aft weapons. Not only does it have your standard deflector, impulse, warp, and shields, like all science vessels, you have a secondary deflector shield, or deflector. So you can get a little extra oomph there. It helps with their typically like your deflector helps with the exotic damage type stuff, which is a lot of what science vessels are great with. This one happens to also come with... Oh no, I think that's something else. I have a House of Martok disruptor beam in here. 360 degree.
That's a fun one.
So I probably was looking for a place I would not lose it by accidentally selling or whatever. If you notice, I don't know if all, but here is have an ability called sensor analysis, and it's based off of this ship. Do all of them have sensor analysis, like some kind of ability like sensor? I don't know science vessels enough to really know. This does say it's a science vessel sensor ability, so I would imagine that many of them have some kind of special ability like that. I know it's kind of like cruisers have their auras that they pump out for added damage or added shield strength, or so science vessels have an extra sensor ability.
And yeah, they do, but a lot of the science vessels tend to focus, as you said, on exotic particle damage, debuffs, healing. I went ahead and switched to, this is a T5 ship that I have. This is a carrier. It is not a flight deck carrier, which tend to be more cruiser based. This is just a straight up carrier, which is more of a science based ship. As you can see, they tend to have more fighters. They have 2 full hangar bays. And how many fighters you get depends on what type of equipment you have for that. You get to equip various hangar pets. I just have in here the obelisk swarmers, which are what this ship came with. As you can see, I have not equipped this ship with anything. I just figured I'd pop it out here real quick and let you see it. These things turn extremely slow. Slower even than cruisers. But they have a ton of fighters. They can really put out some damage. They still get to focus on exotic damage and science vessel types. But this gives you an idea of what a carrier would look like.
Well, I just switched over to my assault carrier. Let's see. I think that's what it's like the Tellarite Prelim Flight Deck Assault Carrier. It was a bit different. I would say it's a cross between the battle cruiser with the 5 forward, 3 aft weapons. It's more designed off of the cruiser style than a science vessel. Because it even has like 5 science consoles or 5 engineering consoles, only 2 science. But yeah, I ran with this one for a little bit. It was kind of a fun ship to run, but yeah, they are slow to turn. But it's all about your pets.
So I just switched over to a battle cruiser that I have. This is a ship that I do have fully decked out. This is the Kittimer class, which is a combination cooperation between the Federation and the Klingon Empire. And as you can see by looking at the ship design, it has aesthetics of both. Kind of got a secondary hull of what a typical Klingon battlecruiser would look like, but a forward saucer section, obviously from the Federation designs there. This is kind of a fun, powerful ship. Its turn rate is tighter than most cruisers. It doesn't quite have all 4 of the buffs that a lot of the bigger cruisers get, but it does have 3 of them. Shield frequency modulation, boost your shields. Weapon system efficiency to increase weapon power, and then strategic maneuvering for your speed and turn rate. No pets on this ship, but it does have the 5 forward weapon slots, and it is a full tier 6 ship, so it has the Starship Mastery unlocks all the way up to the rank 5 for the Starship trait. It's kind of a fun one. I fly this quite frequently. It is currently the only non-escort ship that I've been flying. This is kind of a fun thing to play with. Now you pulled out a Romulan ship, I see.
Yeah, I didn't know if you had any of the Romulan ships.
Not on this character. I do have a Romulan character, but yeah.
So one of the more recent changes was allowing the Federation and KDF officers being able to, if your account has the Romulan ships, purchase somehow for them. You know, if it was an account-wide type ship unlocked, you can, if you're a Federation or KDF, you can now fly the Romulan ships. So that is, this is one of them. I have not set this one up on this guy because, well, I have Romulan ships on other guy. Typically my Remans and Romulans, so I haven't really bothered setting it up here. Hence, some of the stuff is in the way.
We plan on hitting the extra factions at a later time, being the Romulans and the Dominion. We'll go into some more detail on the differences in their ships at that time. But since Grebog pulled one out here, the Romulan ships are classified as warbirds. They are a unique classification that only the Romulan ships have. Their power levels are 10 points lower. Each power level is 10 points lower than a Federation or Klingon ship. But every single one of the Romulan ships has a battle cloak. They also have a added boost. You can probably see it on the lower right of Grebog's screen. That builds up over time, and it unlocks some extra abilities as it does so. There's an AoE damage. There's a heal to yourself. There's one that jumps you ahead and makes duplicates of your ship. And then there's one that basically gives you temporary hit points in shields and hull. So they're kind of unique. They are fun to fly, but we'll cover that at a later time. Similar to the Romulans, there is a Dominion faction. I'll pull mine up real quick. He's on standby waiting for this.
Okay.
He is not in the fleet with Grebog, so I won't be able to go to the fleet starbase.
I can pop out. I can leave, go back to Seoul.
Well, that's up to you. Well, that's a little bizarre.
Yes.
It put me on Earth space dock, but my beam up button is not highlighted. So I ran over to the transporter to try and get to my ship that way, and the only option I have is to beam down to Starfleet Academy. I'm not sure why that is. Kind of hard to show off a ship if it won't let me get to my ship.
Let me...
Here we go. Let's see if that works. Soul system. Apparently I had to beam down to beam up.
Now, while he's doing that, I am in an older Dominion ship. These were lockbox. This was a lockbox ship, which is the only reason I have it. Though they did make it so that way there is in the mastery system, there's an extra point in there, which when Nikodas is up here, he can show you the mastery. But there's an extra point in the mastery that you can, if you get that extra point, it unlocks it for the rest of your tunes to be able to fly that ship.
All right, here we go. Now that I'm sharing space with Grebog here. So this is the veteran reward ship for the Dominion characters that I'm flying. It is a heavy escort. It is not a strike wing escort. It does not have fighters, but all Dominion ships have 2 escort ships that follow them around. They kind of act similar to the fighters on a strike wing escort, but they also have, you get to control them a little bit more straightforwardly. And because we're not in a combat zone, it doesn't look like it's going to show you those 2 ships. The older ships, like what Grebog is flying, do not have the escort vessels, but his does have some fighters that it gets to launch.
Yeah, I get to have this. Well, this one specifically is a dreadnought carrier. Yeah, so that's why it has 2 hangar bays, so you can have hangar pets. Just like everybody else.
To show you the starship, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
To show the starship mastery, this one actually only has 5. Let me see if I can pull up my other ship, though.
I know they have. I thought they had 6 on most of them.
They do. The veteran reward does not. It's kind of a unique ship. But here's the actual tier 6 ship. I actually like this ship quite a lot. So there's the 6th one, the account-wide reclaim unlock. That is unique to the Dominion ships. But it does make it function very similar to the Romulan ships, where any character can fly it. The Dominion ships in general follow a Federation design. You have escorts, cruisers, and science vessels. But we'll go over some more of the details, some more of the unique details at a later time. Same with the Klingons. The Klingon ships, you know what, I'll just switch to a Klingon character. Stand by. If the game doesn't lock up again like it did before.
Hopefully it won't lock up for you.
Yeah, I don't think it likes me switching characters and ships so much. So this is my Klingon main character. Shahedu is his name. He's a tactical officer, max level, a Farasan male that you can see here. Very similar in design to the Caitians on the Federation side. Klingon ships, which again we will cover in more detail on our Klingon episode, but just to give you a brief rundown, they have battle cruisers. They have Raptors, which are closest to the Federation escorts. And then they have birds of prey, which are a unique class. The Raptors, which I am flying one of here, these are the closest to the escorts. They're a little bit heavier duty than the birds of prey. They do have a cloaking device, but they don't have the battle cloak. But this is a kind of fun ship. This is also a veteran reward here. But that's kind of a fun one. The only other ships that I would like to show, let me move back to my Federation character here and we'll go over the last one. Do you have any small ships, Grebog?
Which small ship here? I'll get one that you probably don't have. I'll get in something special. I got it out of a lockbox, I think.
Oh yeah, I probably don't have that then.
I thought it was amusing, so I kept it. Okay, this is how tiny the small ships are. The fact that I can barely see myself. Here, let me zoom way in. So we're talking about now shuttlecraft, or the smaller ships. There are more than just shuttlecrafts. I believe there are fighters, because the Peregrine fighter is an option.
It is, and it is.
I don't know. There's really not that many classes of ships that, for the smaller shuttles and such.
Okay, let's see. I need to switch maps again.
Yeah, it put you in 3.
I got my ship ready though, so once I'm over here, it'll be easy. Just the loading screen. Welcome to Star Trek loading screen. Okay, here we go. Now, where are you at, Grebog?
Flying right at you.
Oh, you get the Ferengi ship. Okay.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I don't have that one. I am flying around in a Delta Flyer here. I'll zoom in so you can get a good look at it. This is my favorite of the small ships, at least for the Federation characters. Highly maneuverable, fairly durable as far as little ships go. I have a habit of flying this when I'm helping lower level players. I don't really have an excuse for it. I just do. I just think it's a fun ship to fly. There's not a whole lot of in-game opportunities to use the small ships. There's a couple of missions. There used to be a task force mission for it, but they removed that. Hopefully it will come back at some point.
It needs balanced better, would be what I would say.
Well, I'm sure they're working on it. They have a tendency to take missions out and reintroduce them later, so I would not be surprised if it doesn't come back at some point. But as you can see as I fly past some other ships here, these are very, very small vessels. Let's go past that Vorgon cruiser and the Federation. Here's a time ship. But these are also very maneuverable ships. Their weapons tend to be very light. You only have 2 4 weapon slots, nothing on the rear of the ship, but you can equip it with almost any equipment that you can put on a larger vessel. Your stations are pretty limited in what you can pick.
I'm in the Yellowstone now.
Which gives you a limited number of abilities to use while you're flying the Yellowstone.
Yeah. The Yellowstone, I don't know if it has anything special to it. It's just another runabout. It had better hull and energy, I think, than the standard runabouts. I also like the look of it.
Yeah, that one's not awful. I fly that one occasionally. I also fly the Peregrine fighter. from time to time. There is also a Cation fighter for the Federation characters. That's one you have to buy on the Z store. I do not own it, or I would show it to you.
Well,
And
there's a Scorpion fighter, which is one of the Fed ones. The Peregrine. I pulled up the Z store, so I mean they're all in here.
here I can fly in the Peregrine. I didn't say that right, but there you go. Another little ship. Fast, maneuverable. This one can equip cannons, dual cannons, and quad cannons, which is what I have on there right now. This is another one I like to fly, so I'm in this one quite a bit.
Can't even remember how I got the Yellowstone. Was that part of a mission? I don't know.
That's one you buy. That's a Z store ship. Let me find one more here that's kind of a unique one. Here we go. This is a veteran's reward.
Oh, I know which one you're pulling out.
The Captain's Yacht. This was introduced in one of the Next Generation movies. It shows as being a ship that comes off the lower part of the hull of the Enterprise. I believe it's in Insurrection when Captain Picard takes it down and kind of gets yelled at by his crew for it. Mine is moving slowly because it has no equipment on it. This is not one that I use very often. Pop an engine on here. We'll give it the Aegis set. There, that's better. As you can see, it's still pretty maneuverable compared to the larger ships. This is a larger shuttlecraft or small vessel, but still fairly tiny when compared to the capital ships. Here's a Galaxy class here, so let me show you the size difference. Anyway, like I said, not a whole lot of use for these vessels, but they are kind of fun just to toy around with. Sometimes they're fun to travel in if you just want to like zoom around sector space or something.
I liked there were some missions that they have you do. I really thought like the ones that they did around Deep Space Nine were done well. You know.
Yeah, the ones with the Dominion where you're fighting against the Dominion ships and whatnot as a small ship.
Yeah.
That was fun. There was another one introduced. It was a Romulan storyline where you're trying to make friends with the Remans, and there's a mission in there where you fly around in a small ship and go inside a space station and whatnot. That was always a fun mission too. Could be a little dangerous at times because you're actually fighting against big ships, but that was fun. The good old days.
Good old days. And these ships are...
Yeah.
When I zoom all the way out, you can just tell how tiny these ships really are.
So we've talked about the tier ships 1 through 4 being level rewards, tier 5 and 6 being ones that you buy. There are also some special events that they do several times throughout a year that will reward you with a tier 6 ship. They're getting ready to do a summer event, which will have some sort of unique ship given out as a reward. I believe this one they did a design contest, and the winner is actually, I think it's a very ugly ship, but I haven't seen its stats yet. But that'll be a reward for the summer event. They also do a event on this tab here, the event tab. Several times during a year, they will do an event campaign, which is a series of different events that all lead up to a full reward of a tier 6 ship. So you get a tier 6 ship for free by completing the event. And then, as we've talked about, you can always buy them from the Z store. That tends to be the biggest market in there. How the company makes most of its money. And as you can see, I've bought a handful. But there's a ton of ships in the Z store. You can also get them from lockboxes. Now, I don't personally play the lockbox game. What they want you to do with that is buy master keys right here, and then use them to open lockboxes that you can either get from the Z store, or you can just earn through gameplay. It tends to be a fairly large game of chance, and I don't play it, but I believe Grebog has gotten some rewards out of that.
I've gotten, because sometimes I get the expansion packs, and they typically give you keys, and because I don't, I use the keys instead of selling them. I mean, it all depends on what you want out of stuff, and I always try my luck when I have the keys. So I've actually been fairly fortunate. So, you know, there are more ways to get keys than just buy them from the Zen store. You can also, on the exchange, pick up the keys, or same with the ships. If you can get it out of a lockbox, it can be sold, and that's actually some of the ways some people make some of their credits. But it all depends on what you're wanting, whether you want credits or whatnot. And welcome Zorloff, I guess. I think that's how you say it. And yeah, tier 6 ships are now level 1 to max level. They made it so that way you don't need to keep flipping ships if you already have a tier 6 ship. So that was his question about when can you start flying one.
I saw that. Good answer. Let's see. Special event. Okay, so if you buy a ship from the Z store, this button right here, those are account locks. So anything you buy on here, you can use on any character you have, be it a current character or a future character. The holiday and anniversary events mostly are also account wide, I believe. The lockbox ships are not. The lockbox ships tend to be available on whatever character opens the lockbox.
Well, the lockbox are essentially, if you play other games like Bind on Equip. It is, you can sell it on the exchange, or you can use it and it's then locked that character. So if, let's say, you get a ship that you want for one of your other characters, you could mail it to one of your other characters.
True, there is that. But once you have opened the ship, then it is assigned to that character. Although they've recently done, in the tab here for Mud's Market, there's been a habit for them to release various lockbox ships on here for purchase. They tend to be extremely expensive on here, but if you can afford them, it does turn a lockbox ship into an account unlock. So there is that option. Customization. Looks like we're running out of time here, but let's go over customization a little bit real quick. Let me turn off some of the items in game change your ship's appearance, and that would make it kind of hard to show you the customization here. You have to go to a ship editor. So I'm going to dock here. Apparently it's going to drag Grebog with me.
That's fine. If you're going to customize the appearance of your ship, definitely disable the visuals before you go in. Otherwise, it is going to not look the way you thought it was going to look.
Zorloft says he's going to get the cat race and get a tier 6 science vessel. So Zorloft, this is the cat race. This is Acacian. He happens to be my main on here. Just figured I'd plug that real quick since you said you were going to get him. Obviously, you can do different fur tones or different hairstyles, but that's what Acacian is. They also have a very high jump. I will say that in some PvP combat, that jump is a little insane, almost overpowered. But back to the ships here. So, oh, wrong way. Customize ship. You can customize your shuttle or your starship. We'll go to starship. I've got my T5U up again. So here's under the templates. This is a full ship design here. You've got your Dervish class, Griffin class, Hermes, or Tempest, which tends to be what I fly. You can customize your interior or the bridge of your ship. Change the windows and the escape pods. I'll go with fleet. You can change the material or basically the color of your hull. I really like the veteran design. You get some blue highlights on the veteran side of things that you can see right here. So I'll go with veteran. Now for the colors, pull out the advanced tab. This is where you can get really some good customization going. You can change individual parts of the ship from basically any template that you have unlocked. So we'll go with the Griffin there. Maelstrom.
That's how.
So as far as my center pylon here,
Like that's
there's
how
even an.
I designed
Go ahead.
that dreadnought that I showed earlier. The 3 warp nacelles. I had really melded a bunch of the various classes and versions to make the one I'm flying. But there are a lot of options, much like you would find in the character creation.
Yeah. I mean, it's not quite as thorough, but there is a lot of options. The patterns here have to do with your colors. So let's pick a couple of bright colors so you guys can really see this. Red, white, and blue apparently is going to be my theme today. And as you change the pattern, you will change where those colors are highlighted. And some ships have more customization than others. It just depends on what you want to do with it. And you can sit here and play with this until you find a design you like. There is also a randomize button right here if you totally just want to randomize the appearance of your ship until you find one that you like. Me personally, I prefer to go with the base design. I just really like the Tempest here. The veterans on, we'll go with the fleet. We'll go with some blue highlights.
Now I'm tinkering with colors and schemes.
Well, at least they can see it.
Huh?
There, we'll go with the Columba design. So a lot of blue on the ship. And then when you're done, you've got the design that you like, you're ready to go, you can hit apply changes. Most of the time, the changes are going to be free unless you are trying to use a part of a ship that you don't own yet, in which case it'll use your Z-Store credits down here or your Zen in order to make that purchase. You will get the ship from that purchase and anything that goes along with that ship, any gear or equipment, more special items. You can do the same thing with a shuttlecraft. You don't have quite as many customization options no windows. All the shuttles have the same interior. Template kind of depends on the ship. And then the coloring, as you can see, you don't have nearly the amount of options that you do on the other one.
Ooh, that's kind of cool. I'm playing with the color of my saucer.
So that pretty much covers the customization. And we are just at the 1 hour mark. Is there anything else you want to go over, Grebog?
Any questions? I think of questions while we're going through anything else before we finish this. Let's see. I mean, the customization, we covered all that. I don't know. There's so much you can do with ships nowadays. Ship builds will have to be another episode, obviously. I mean, we kind of did a brief, like, what is fore and aft weapon slots and stuff like that. But for the actual what you want to set up for a ship, we'll go through, because like there's all kinds of like builds and types, and yeah.
We'll hit an episode on builds here soon. We'll go do ground-based and then space-based. If we can manage it, we'll put them both in one episode, but it will most likely end up being two. But we'll hit that soon. For our next episode, we are planning on hitting the Alien Creator. We did some character customization and creation in our last episode. We mentioned the Alien Creator and all the craziness that is involved in that. So I believe next Monday we're going to be hitting the Alien Creator and trying to hit some fun with that. It was requested that we make the Aliens versus Predators, or the Xenomorphs and the Yatja. I am not sure that we're going to be able to pull that off. The Alien Creator can do a lot, but as far as making specific races from other franchises, I'm not sure that's a thing, but we'll see what we can come up with. I also have a bit of a surprise for the viewers. I have a alien in mind that I'm going to have some fun putting together, so we'll see what we can do with that next week. I do not see any questions. Did I miss anything, Grebog?
They are still... Well, no, they're not that... I don't know that they're on that big of a delay anymore. My stream has caught up. I was like, they're on a really long delay, because last time I looked, it was about 20 to 30 seconds almost, I think. I don't think there's... I think we've covered a lot of the basics on ships. You know, if you ever have any questions, feel free to reach out. We have a Facebook page that you can follow us. FAR Podcast. We also have the the Fleet Action Report. You probably should be able to search Facebook and find us that way and follow us. I even created a Fleet Action Report YouTube channel. I will probably upload the recorded video and not instead of exporting the video from stream, just so that way any hiccups won't be put into the YouTube channel. So yeah.
All right. Well, I think we're done for today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching. We will see you next week.
Thank you for watching. Live long and prosper.
And as always, see you out there.
Bar out there.